Hello everybody, Mark here, Sunday morning. I'm just off to go and see Louise Good in Gloucester, and I believe that from what I can gather, Louise is about to go into a Kingdom Hall, maybe even 2 congregations over the course of today. I'm not quite sure yet, but to confront the elders regarding the audit of file, which has to be completed by the 31st of December 2015. It's the 27th today, so we can see the urgency of at least talking it through with these elders and see if there's a reaction as to what they want to say. So I'm just off there now, and we'll take it from there. Okay, speak to you later. Hello everyone, I'd like to welcome you to Louise's home. We have Louise and Alison on this fine Sunday morning, and we're all going somewhere. So where are we going in a few minutes' time?
Well, look, I'm wearing a dress. I haven't worn a dress for ages and ages. We're going to the Kingdom Hall.
Dresses, Kingdom Hall, Sunday. Oh my goodness. Bag.
Yeah.
What the heck is going on?
I don't know, we're mad.
Well, we've got some information to hand out. So what we've got, Alison and I, is the 2015 checklist from the governing body telling us to destroy documents.
Yep.
I'm assured this is nothing new. I'm assured it happens every year.
Mm-hmm.
But what is new is this letter that we've both got on the back, which is from the Government Independent Inquiry into Historic Child Abuse. And this letter tells all institutions and organisations not to destroy documents.
Yeah.
So we're going this morning because we're concerned that we don't want our dear elders to get into trouble by destroying documents when actually the government is conducting an inquiry and they don't want documents destroyed.
Absolutely, absolutely.
And this one shows that they do that. They do destroy documents because they've done it in the past.
Yeah, it's very true. I mean, this audit of file, when we first saw this, I mean, for ex-elders, I remember saying, oh, there's nothing new.
Yeah.
This is absolutely nothing new. We do this every year. Well, the first time I read this, I was falling off my chair.
Yeah.
Because that is new to most of us. Destroying criminal evidence.
It's new to
it is rank and file, and to us, when we see that, you know, that we've seen the rape of a child or molestation of a child, that information that they are destroying is extremely valuable to the Crown Prosecution Service. So
now what's interesting is this letter refers to this document here, which is the Shepherd the Flock of God book, and it says about child abuse documents, it does say not to destroy them. It says don't destroy them, keep them indefinitely. But as Alison's just pointed out, we've got 2 examples here of where they have destroyed them.
absolutely.
One example that's very personal to Alison, and the other one where it says witnesses destroyed more than 1,000 cases of child sexual abuse documents. So maybe elders are getting a bit muddled up and destroying the wrong stuff, and we just need to remind them that their own guidelines say not to destroy child abuse documents. It might be that they're getting muddled up.
Something when Lou and I was talking about though, because in the Australian Royal Commission recently, they've been given 77 things, haven't they, they've got to work on.
Yes.
And one of those things, it brought out that their solicitor, is it Tool?
Yeah.
Is going to be like prosecuted really for not telling the witnesses.
That's right. So the 77 findings
Fid's no tool
here, and the Watchtower solicitor, as Alison pointed out, in the findings it said that he's been referred to the Law Society of New South Wales for failing to advise congregation elders of their obligations to report their knowledge of certain criminal offences under the Crimes Act 1900. Now, if you want to complain about a solicitor, you complain to the professional body.
Yes.
But if it's professional misconduct, if it's much more serious, you complain to the Law Society, and that's who Toole has been referred to. And so we just need to let the elders know that because they've been given wrong advice from the Watchtower solicitor, he might well be struck off.
Interesting.
And also, the governing body are probably relying on this guy's information. Has this letter to destroy all the information come from him?
Yes.
If that's the case, they could be in serious
Very
trouble.
serious trouble. Yeah, no matter which way you look at this, they are in serious trouble.
Yeah.
And the only other thing we've got to show them is that they might not be aware, oh, Alison's got it because I've thrown mine on the floor. They might not be aware that they are being investigated this year by the Charities Commission and also by the independent inquiry into child sexual abuse.
Sure.
So we know that the destroy documents letter isn't new, but what is new is these two investigations.
Two investigations.
And what is new is the letter from the government saying don't destroy documents.
Yeah.
And we feel
and
it
the
would,
Australian Commission.
and the Australian Commission, and we
Yeah.
feel it would be a kindness to let our brothers know of all these other things, because they might be accidentally destroying documents and not realising that they could be personally held liable in
Sure.
court.
Yeah, absolutely. Very well said.
We might not slip in the Watchtower. And I haven't pre-studied. Have you pre-studied?
No, I haven't pre-studied. Now here's the thing, we're very well prepared, but you just don't know how it's going to go.
No.
We've talked about things like not raising our voice, not flailing our limbs, not doing anything that gives them an excuse to ask us to leave.
Sure,
You know,
yeah.
quiet, helpful,
Yeah.
considerate, respectful conversation.
With
But we have
dignity.
every right to be there because we're not disfellowshipped or disassociated or
No,
anything like that.
no.
So we've got every right to be there.
Yes,
So-
absolutely. This is a
Like in
public
terms-
event.
and it's a public building.
Yeah.
And they do get huge amounts of money from their tax exempt status as a charity, so
Yes.
they can't exclude people.
No, there
unless
is-
there being a problem.
The word accountability comes to mind, doesn't it? And this is an accountable body to the Charities Commission, and that's why they're being investigated. And this is real damage that's being done to these survivors who need justice.
Absolutely.
I wonder how their families would feel if it was them, though. If their families were affected, how
Yeah.
they would
Yeah.
feel if they went to court and there was no documents.
There was no documents. Yeah.
And also, we're aware that we're not bringing anything apostate to them. We've got a letter from the governing body and we've got a letter from the government. That's not apostate
No.
literature. So there's no reason for us to be kettled into a back room over this. And we're not going to let that happen because none of this is anything to be ashamed of.
No.
I know that they think this is private, but I would say we're not embarrassed about instructions from the governing body, are we? We're proud to uphold what the governing body tells us. There's nothing shameful about this, is there, brothers? Why would you be embarrassed about instructions from the governing body? So
Because
none
we're
of this,
sisters, we're not
Yeah.
allowed to know that.
so none of this is embarrassing or shameful, and it doesn't need to be discussed in private.
No.
I don't believe. And we're going to try and avoid any control mechanisms like, would you like to come into the back room? I don't think so.
I've been in enough bad rooms.
Haven't we all? Yeah, those days are long over there. Yeah.
So we'll see how it goes and we'll talk to you afterwards.
Okay, brilliant stuff. Well, I'm just outside the Kingdom Hall here in Gloucester, and what we have is Lou and Alison have now gone in. I'm under a brolly, it's pouring down with rain, so I'll wait for them to come out and then I'll have a quick chat before they disappear and see how they got on. They've been in there a few minutes now, so they're doing very well. So this is all good news. Hopefully they're sharing the information, and with a bit of luck maybe the elders will take on board exactly what they've got to say, because they do have a lot to say on this, and they're very qualified, both of them, for different reasons for saying it, as are we all as activists with the research that we've all done. So there it is. I shall turn back on again in a second when they come out, and we'll find out what sort of reception they got. Speak to you in a bit. Hello, friends.
Hello.
Well, this is post your meeting at the Kingdom Hall. You've got in there. If I'd have known you were going to be so long, I'd have brought a chair outside with me brolly. But no, I was so intrigued as the minutes went by to know how you were getting on.
We got in there about 15 minutes too early, I think.
Right.
We survived the last 4 paragraphs of the
Yeah,
watch.
we did, didn't we? Well, what happened? We walked in and they still had 2 goons on the door, didn't they? So we couldn't like hover in their lobby. I think we looked at each other like we were going to hover, and then it looked a bit awkward, so we walked in, didn't we? And then it was like, once you're in, it's like, well, where are we going to sit? Halfway down the hall.
Yeah.
There was no sitting at the back.
No.
So
well done.
Yeah, we don't want to sit next to them buggers.
No, we're well beyond that.
Absolutely.
Well, so tell me, how did you get on?
Well, we think we were clocked straight away.
Yeah.
I got a little note from Louise saying I think we've been clocked. So we really didn't have to do anything because as soon as the meeting was finished, like 3
They
elders
came to us.
Did they?
Yes.
to come to us. So we sat down. We thought, would we like to go into the little room? No, we
No,
wouldn't.
I said no, I don't want to go into the little room.
That's
No.
fine. So we refused to stand up as well. So they had to come down to our level a bit, didn't they? Which
yes.
is quite. We felt in control.
I felt in control. Yeah, it was nice. And actually, they
Yeah.
were very nice elders. Although, as Alison pointed out, very naive.
Yeah.
Really nice, decent. Actually,
Yeah.
really. One's only
Yeah.
been an elder a year.
Yeah.
But they were genuinely lovely guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we just had to try to tell them that this doesn't happen. They were the things that they were saying. Oh, we would go to the police and we would do
we
this.
would encourage children to go to the police, and we said, "Is that new? Then when did that happen?"
Yeah, things like that. But they just said, "Oh, well, we don't have that here, and we would do this." And I just think they just wouldn't. I know they wouldn't.
No.
Yeah, Alison was saying, yeah, but if the governing body told you to. Now, what I found interesting, and I did shake a little bit on it, was when we showed them the letter that said to destroy documents, they were like saying, well, who said we've got to destroy documents? And we were saying, it's here in the letter.
Yeah.
And I thought, oh my God, is this like completely a bogus
Because
letter?
what did the elder say? He
said
we said, I can assure you that we haven't. He says,
yeah,
we haven't done it.
He did, didn't he? And I believed him. He said,
And I
well, I'm
thought,
sure you.
"Ooh,
Yeah.
Well, that's quite revealing to hear that.
But then when they looked at the letter, then he started referring to it as if he did know about it.
Yeah.
So I didn't know whether they were bluffing us or whether they'd genuinely not seen it or whether only certain elders.
Well, the interesting thing is, if they haven't done it, then their circuit overseer will be inspecting those files.
That's what we. That's
Yeah.
right, and we pointed that out to them, didn't we? And said, look, you have to sign it here, and you have to have
Yeah.
it available to your circuit overseer.
Between February and August of next year, these files will be
be
inspected
checked.
and
Yeah.
thoroughly inspected.
That's right.
Yeah.
Now, what was interesting was, unlike other elders that I've spoken to who get very aggressive and angry straight away, the guy was really nice. When I pointed out the instructions from the inquiry about not destroying documents, he was like, thank you very much, I'll look at that. It was really, he was very good actually, wasn't he, at saying the right things.
The hardest part was not giving our names. And Louise was LEH, wasn't she? And, it's just,
and then they just laughed and said, and you'll be a random collection of 3 letters, and we went, yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting that the brother that came out because that's what they call themselves, isn't it? We don't call them that anymore.
Oh,
but
yes.
Mr. Humphreys
Yes.
knew your name, and
Right,
he
so
knew.
he clocked me.
Yes, he
You
had.
see, so what had happened, I think, when we went in and sat down, I think we were sat directly in front of an elder, and we were like, we weren't being naughty, but we were saying little things to each other, and I got a watchtower out that clearly wasn't the right watchtower. Alison had the iPad and got crisis of conscience. So she said, well, I'm going to read this. So then I saw him in my peripheral vision get up and go and speak to the 2 goons on the door and come back, and I wrote her a note and said, we've been clocked.
Yeah.
We don't need to do anything, they'll come to us. And in a way I found that a huge relief, because our biggest anxiety was, how are we going to start?
Yes.
What are we going to say and who to? And I just said, we don't even need to get up, we'll just sit here, they'll come to us, and they did.
we did say that they wanted to know who we were, our names and all that, and we just said, well, we're involved. No, was it
in child safeguarding. I said we're involved in child safeguarding.
Have you been sent to us specifically?
I said we're working with the Charities Commission and the the inquiry.
Good. I'm glad you said that
Yeah.
because that's what I told him as well.
Yes.
And yeah, I'll
And
come
he
on to
said,
that.
have the Charities Commission sent you here today? And I said, no, we're just working with them. And I feel that's an honest statement
Yeah.
because both of us have made extensive reports to those organisations and had
Sure.
feedback from them. And
Will
explained
we
things
be
to them,
going
yeah.
to other halls today?
Okay.
I thought all the telephones are going to
Yeah.
Yeah.
be no.
Well, I
Oh,
said,
yeah.
well, if you're going to share this information, we perhaps we don't need to.
I
Wow.
think there's going to be more
I think that
goons on the doors this
yeah,
afternoon.
that's
Yeah.
interesting. Whether we actually even bother going to the next one, or whether we think we'll be headed off at the
I'd love
class.
to go. I want
Do you
to
want
go.
to go?
Yeah.
You up for it? Okay,
Yeah,
we'll do the
because
next one then.
I'd
Cool.
like to see how they react if they do know,
Yes, good. Yes, okay.
because we're
Yeah.
there for them, aren't we? We're not
Yeah.
there to cause a problem.
No.
and
So-
they were very collaborative in their approach.
Yeah.
They
All,
were-
all three of them were really, really nice.
Yeah.
Two in particular, weren't
Yeah, the young guy, they were both fathers, and when they said, "Where I'm speaking as an elder and a father," I genuinely did believe him. But your point was so valid. They were so naive. They were saying
Yeah.
things, you know, we would encourage people to report to the police, and we were going, really? And we were saying about the 2-witness rule, and they said, yes, but would that apply in these cases?
That
And we
wouldn't
said,
apply in child abuse.
we said,
Oh, wow.
It
does.
absolutely
Oh my
does.
goodness.
But you know the
Yeah.
77 findings from the Royal Australian Royal
Yes.
Commission? I had those printed out, and I said, they didn't know about the commission, did they? But I said, these are the findings from the judge, and he took them, didn't he?
Yeah.
And
Good,
and
good.
I was reluctant to let it go because it was my only copy. I
Yeah.
printed it
Yeah,
really
this
late this morning, didn't I? But he said, I'll look at this.
Yeah.
And we
yeah.
did try to encourage them. So I said, I know
Yeah.
you don't like to hear anything negative about Watchtower, but
But-
this is on YouTube and you can look. I said, it's a court case. I said, and even your own governing body members
Sure.
are speaking
Sure.
on it. So it's not anything like apostate. This is a live.
It's absolutely.
Right.
They
Yeah.
gave us a lot of time, didn't they?
That's
I did
good.
ask them, I did say to them, I said, one of the things that bothers me is the fact that if a paedophile was reinstated, you wouldn't tell the congregation.
Yes.
And he said, oh, yes, we would.
He said we
tell
would. He said,
everybody.
we're parent,
Wow.
every parent. And we, and
I
Alison,
know
Well,
that's
that's-
not true.
Alison said, really, since when? And he said, well, as long as I've been serving an elder. And I said, but this year,
That-
I went to my old congregation. They hadn't told the parents, and that was this year. And I had
Well,
the-
they're working against procedure if they're doing that.
Well, and
Yeah.
that's what you said, didn't you? You
Yeah.
said, well, you're on your own.
Yeah.
You're doing that
I
because
said,
I can tell
that's
you
not
nobody
normal.
else is
I know
doing
they
that.
haven't done that in the Barry congregation.
No.
Where
No.
someone got reinstated and none of the
Well, Mr. Humphries said to me outside, one of the things he said was that we would work according, this is all about the child abuse, is it? And I said, yes, it is.
Yeah.
And he said that we would work, and he just came straight out with it, we would work to protect the children
Yeah.
wherever we can. And I said, what you'll do, with the greatest respect, Mr. Humphries, is that you will ring the legal department first.
Oh, I wish we
And,
said that.
and, they,
yeah.
and they will give you the instructions as to what to do.
that's
You will
bang
not
on
be doing
point.
your own thing. And I said, please agree with me on that. And he said, well, of course we'll go to the legal department. I said, that's exactly where you'll go first.
Yeah.
And if they got told not to go to the police, they won't go to
They
the
won't go
police.
to the police.
Unfortunately, we had, we showed them these, which they did look at, didn't they?
Yeah.
The Mark Sewell case where documents had been destroyed.
Yes.
I did acknowledge, he said we were instructed not to destroy child abuse documentation, and I said I know, and I said it's in here, the shepherd, the flock of God, and showed him it, and he wasn't fazed by that either, which I was
No.
impressed with.
Yeah.
But I said, but unfortunately some elders are destroying it, and I said in
Yeah.
the Australian Commission it said 1,006
Yeah.
lots of documentation were destroyed. So as you said, if you're not doing that, you are on your own there. Maybe they're a renegade, really nice congregation.
Or maybe they just haven't yet come to terms with the fact that if this was to happen within their own
They'd be
Kingdom
told
Hall,
to cover
they
up.
would be told
Yeah.
exactly what to do.
That's right. It's the same as what I thought all along. Unless things happen to you, though, you
Yeah,
don't
you don't
actually
know
No.
what
believe
happens.
it.
No.
You don't.
You can't, I was in
No.
that situation. I couldn't believe it when it happened to me, and
I
I thought,
agree.
Yeah.
oh my goodness, this
What?
is a load of,
They wouldn't
yeah.
do that. No, they wouldn't do that. They'll come to court.
Of course,
And support us. Of
yeah.
course they will.
Those two
They're
elders
honest,
we spoke
yeah.
to today were similar to the two elders that we were friends with in court, and that you're thinking, oh, they're so
They're
nice,
nice.
they're gonna,
Yeah.
absolute rubbish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, when the legal department kick
Kick
in,
in.
that's it.
Yeah.
Everybody goes quiet and they follow instructions to the letter.
But I just hope that will affect their conscience, because they've told us now, and they know they've told us that that's
Yeah.
what they would do, and let's hope they would do.
I agree with you, and I think they did have consciences.
Yeah.
And we showed them one of the findings that said that Spink. Oh, Tool has been reported to the Law Society, didn't we? And that was the document that.
Sure.
And that's when I said to him as well. I said, and this is the guy that's probably advising the governing body about all the legal departments.
Yeah.
Yes, he
so
did.
She might. I said, you're probably being told the wrong thing, so you're going to get into trouble by destroying that.
Yeah.
Louise got complimented on her singing. She sang the song.
I belted it out. He said, we noticed that you came to our meeting today. Did you enjoy it? I said, I loved the singing.
And you've respected us by being nicely dressed.
He did. He said you came in respectfully and you were nicely dressed and you sat in the meeting and you sang the song. And I thought, yeah, we were respectful. And he said, and that's why, that is obviously why they didn't feel the need to kettle us or shuffle us out. He gave us
you showed respect and you did it in and you did it in a dignified way.
A cup of tea,
really?
And a follow-up.
I saw a lady walking in with milk and
Oh, they said they didn't have any milk.
she'd gone out to get some. So I thought, well, they have cups of tea after the meeting. Wow.
And at the end he said, and do you feel that you've accomplished what you came here for? And I said, yes. I think we have, and it was very nicely done.
Much better than I thought.
I know, much better.
Well,
it's not scary, is it?
No,
once you've done it?
no. Once you start talking,
the fact that they came up to us first helped. So
broke the ice.
The next time they will be expecting us.
Yeah. Paul Humphrey said, "Why are you actually at this Kingdom Hall?" And I said, "Because."
Like that. Why have you come to us? Why have you chosen us?
Yeah, I said, "Well, because this is our locality."
Yeah.
And
because Alison's driven up from Wales and the time's fitted.
He said, well, we can't help you and we'll just follow exactly what we're supposed to do. And I said, it's because of that we're coming here out of love for you lot, that you are exposing yourselves to a legal lawsuit.
We don't want you to get into trouble with the authorities. I said, you are aware you've been
investigated. You did that well, because you said that we don't know whether you're aware of this. You're aware of this letter, the society, but are you aware that the government said not to? And then he was nice when he said, really thank you very much, thank you, and he took it. Whereas when I've spoken to other elders and I've had stuff to give them and I've gone like that, they've just rolled it up and dropped it.
And dropped it,
and he took it, and he wanted the 77 findings, didn't he, from the Royal Australian Commission.
So, I think that was quite successful.
I think it was successful.
Well done, friends. You've done a fantastic job.
And thank you for coming with us.
No, it's a pleasure. I really enjoyed it. And let's say goodbye for now.
Goodbye for now.
Hello, dear friends.
Hello.
Well, here we are. Now, this wasn't anticipated. This is the third part, I think, isn't it, of the filming.
Return visit to the Kingdom Hall.
Welcome to the cellar. I understand you went back to a second congregation at the same Kingdom Hall, and you got a very different reception. Do you want to explain exactly what happened?
Well, they were expecting us, but we had a feeling that they would be.
You had a very strong feeling, didn't you?
So we couldn't disappoint them, really. So we walked in just as they were singing the song and got barred, basically saying, "Where are you going?" We said, "We're going in here." "No, you're not."
I was a little bit ahead. So he said, "No, you're not going in the hall." And I just carried on walking and went into the hall, and I heard a little voice behind me say, "Do you want me to phone the police?" And I thought, "Yes, please do." So they were stood up singing the song. So I went and stood up, and then I looked round and thought, where the hell's Alison gone? And
he wouldn't let me go in. He was sort of bodily barred me from going in. So I thought, I don't want to cause of such. I stayed there, and I said, "Cora, your attitude is not at all Christian," because his horrible attitude. I said, "Are you the coordinator? No, are you the presiding overseer? Well, you're a bit out of touch, aren't you?"
What a nasty, snidey thing to say.
I said, "Oh, well, coordinator." I said, "Are you the coordinator?" "Yes." I said, I thought, oh heck, I don't stand a chance with him there. I said, "Well, who's the secretary?" I'm not going to tell you his name. I said, "Cora, is this some sort of secret society?"
Wow, so he wasn't prepared to give you names.
No.
Very different reception from the first one.
And we weren't prepared to give names.
Well, neither of the society when you ring them up, are they?
Exactly, which was our point earlier.
Yeah.
And then he said, "Well, we don't want any of your literature in here." I said, "Well, we're not going to give you any of your literature. We're giving you your literature."
So your governing body letter.
The irony is in this.
I know, isn't it?
Incredible, isn't it?
So by this time Louise had sort of come out again.
Well, I'd sung the song and said the prayer and looked around, and I just felt so guilty. I thought, oh my God, I honestly thought she'd kind of push past and get in with me, because I thought, you said you can't stop us going in, it's a public
meeting.
It's a public
Absolutely.
It was a public meeting.
Yeah.
You said, but it is sort of, but not to everybody or something. So I said, well, I said, what do you think we're going to do then? Well, you're going to disrupt the meeting. I said, you obviously knew we were coming because you're ready for us. I said, but did we disrupt the meeting this morning? I said, we didn't. I said,
No.
I said, we had a really nice conversation this morning.
Very dignified.
Actually really respectful.
Yeah.
And, yeah, really
I
different.
said, but your attitude stinks. I said, it's not at all Christian. I said, your attitude is the same as these elders here that are hiding stuff.
Yeah.
I said, it's some sort of secret society. Oh no, it's not a secret society. But eventually Louise came.
So eventually I came sauntering out, and so I thought you might have been kettled by a whole mob of goons, but actually it was just you and him.
Yeah.
And the other goons were stood well back,
One
weren't
was
they?
looking through the window to see what you were doing. She was like, oh, let's see what
Well,
you're doing.
I genuinely thought when he said, do you want me to phone the police, I honestly thought he would, because if
You
you're
hoped
gonna,
he would, really?
Well, I just thought, please, because this would be so funny, because I'm stood respectfully. My voice would have been quiet.
Dressed in a
I'd
dress.
dressed in a dress. If I'd spoken to anyone, it would have been quiet, but actually nobody spoke to me, so I sort of sauntered back out. But the police would have been like, what's the problem? And then they would have said, oh, they're showing us this letter from our own governing body.
Yeah, exactly. So they weren't interested in at all in
Not
anything
at
you
all.
had to
No.
say.
So
No.
I sort of got the stuff out, and I said, you know, we're showing you, obviously Alison had showed him it. I thought she'd already been through the whole spiel
No,
of...
I hadn't.
Oh, right. Well, that makes sense, because I thought, oh, he's heard all this before, and I was a bit hesitant about saying it all again. So I just said, you know, we're showing you this letter from your governing body saying you're destroying documents, but
Yeah.
actually we didn't know whether you were aware that the government is asking you not to destroy. He says, I don't care.
But the old
I don't care.
attitude was like,
Oh, it's like, I'm not prepared to talk
we'll
about
have
it.
the letter when the governing body chose it to us then.
Yeah.
It's like, well, you know, we don't, and that doesn't happen in our congregation.
And
No.
It was really childish, wasn't it? And you said, well, you've already got the letter because you need to destroy the documents by
Yes.
December 31st, so
Yeah.
you've had it. He goes, I'm not prepared to comment. I said, I'm not asking you to comment, I'm asking you to listen.
Sure.
I
Yeah.
said, and so I said, you know, the Australian Royal Commission, that's my new document out because I printed another one off. I said, you know, your solicitor, I've got it highlighted because I couldn't find it otherwise.
Yeah.
Your solicitor, Mr. Toole, the Watchtower solicitor, has been referred to the Law Society and could be disbarred. I said, I'd be ashamed if I was part of an organisation that, and he said, well, you're not part of the organisation anymore. I said, no, I'm not, because I'm so embarrassed at this.
He said, what are you here for? You're not part of the organisation. Why are you here? Because we said, because we're concerned about the children.
He went, oh, you're concerned about the children, like that.
Wow.
Really, really nasty.
That's incredible.
It was eye-watering, actually, wasn't it? And we were a bit more riled.
And then with that, I saw a couple that I actually knew from years and years and years ago. And he came out and he just gave me the biggest hug.
Oh, isn't that lovely?
I
Yeah,
said,
in the middle of all this
I
tension.
said, Mark, are you an elder? I said, because I've got something for you.
He
I
said,
I-
yes, I am. He was right happy.
Yeah.
And then his wife came up. And go on, sorry.
And then I just said, well, I'm not a Jehovah's Witness anymore. Why not? Why? I absolutely shocked. And I just said, well, because of this. And I gave him this sheet.
This that says to destroy
Wow.
documents.
Yeah.
And his wife looked at it, and he said, as she's looking, he said, well, I'm not prepared to talk about that. And I could see in her face, she went in her mind, what the hell? This is true.
Yeah.
My husband's been destroying documents.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
he disappeared into a door behind us, which I think was a disabled toilet, because she then went and opened the door as if to say, come back out here.
Yeah.
She was really, you could see,
Incensed.
she was incensed.
And I explained about my daughter and family's abuse. And I just said that this is the reason why I'm not a Jehovah's Witness anymore. I said, because of the cover-ups. I said, this is what we're trying to stop now. We're trying to stop documents being destroyed so that other kids...
It's vital, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's so
And
important.
she knew your daughter, didn't she?
Yeah.
So she was like, oh, and I could just, it was really awkward for her because she's quite, I know her from when I was in that congregation. She's a very strong woman.
Yeah.
And
I'm just hoping that the after effects speak speak more than the
Yes.
storm.
I
Yeah.
Like going home and then say, what was that
What
about?
was
What
what?
was-
Yeah.
you know?
And the fact that now, if he'd when Alison showed him this, if he'd denied it and said, "I don't know what you're talking about," she would have gone, "What are you on about? What are you talking about?"
Yeah.
But because he said, "I'm not prepared to talk about it," I just totally saw her face. She went,
Yeah.
"My God, this is true."
Yeah.
In her head, you didn't say that out loud, but you could just see it. And she wasn't, although she backed off a little bit.
Yeah.
She didn't totally back off you, and she was still warm towards you, wasn't
Yeah.
she, and willing to talk to you. And
I think
It was
Alison,
interesting.
maybe she'll go away and have some very deep-seated discussions
think
with her husband
that's
about
what I
this
thought.
now.
She's a bit of a, well, she's a sister, so she's going to be gossipy.
She's
so
a
I
massive
think
gossip.
She
Is
will
she?
be telling
Yeah.
other people about it.
Yeah.
And that's all you need, isn't it?
That's right.
Let them
Yeah.
do,
Yeah,
them
let
do
it
work,
let it
isn't
spread around the real truth.
And obviously, because elders' wives aren't allowed to see any of this, so it's completely new. It will
Yeah.
be the first time I reckon she's ever seen
Yeah.
a private document to an elder.
Well, I was shocked when I first
Well, I was
saw
shocked
it.
when I
So-
saw it.
Yeah. So as a wife, I mean, I can imagine her thinking, if she's that shocked, asking her husband later, please tell me
that you're not
you
destroying-
are not
yeah.
one of these people destroying
Yeah.
evidence.
Now that's
Please
exactly
She did
what
look
I
at the
thought.
letter, didn't she?
Yeah, she did. She looked at it, and then she opened the door in this funny little disabled toilet that he was hiding in. She was like,
Yeah.
sort of. She wanted to say, "Mark, come out here," but she didn't.
No.
You could see she was totally torn. She was looking at that, and she was looking at him, and there was like about 1,000,000 years worth of thoughts going through her head. And
Yeah.
because he had said, "I'm not prepared to talk about it," and she instantly twigged that therefore it was
There is
true.
something to talk about.
Yeah, that was a phenomenal moment, I think.
Yeah.
And then,
Yeah.
But what a total different reaction from this morning.
Jekyll and Hyde.
Oh, totally.
Oh, I'm so
So why do you think this
fuming.
morning it was so warm and receptive? Do you think you caught them off guard walking in?
Yeah.
Do you think that's what it was?
I think it was partly that, and
Yeah.
also I think they were nicer people. I mean, I know this elder, and you do, don't
Mm.
you? And he has got a face like a slapped arse, hasn't he? He's
He has,
not
yeah.
a warm, open.
No.
I told him his
approachable
attitude
person.
stinks. I said, you've not got a very Christian attitude at all. I said, you're just like these elders that, you know, are covering over.
Yeah.
And
Defensive.
I laughed at him and said, "Oh, you're really defensive, aren't you?" And his face was like, "Because I'm not prepared. I'm not making a comment." I said, "I'm not asking you to make a comment. I'm telling you."
Yeah.
And I just
Yeah.
kept showing him stuff.
Yeah.
Didn't like that at all, did he?
But I think we got over our message. I think we got our message over, but it was received much better the first time. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
we were saying that if they learned that if they could be nice to us, they'd get much.
They'd get
rid
more
of
of
us
what they
quicker.
wanted.
Sure.
He could have got rid of us in a much easier way,
Yeah.
I think. If he'd been really nice, even falsely nice, smarmy, it would have been easier for him to get rid of
Yeah.
us. But because he was so nasty, we were up we were in his face, we were showing him stuff, we wouldn't shut up, we wouldn't
Yeah.
back down. He walked away from us in the end when your friends came
Yeah.
along, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It becomes a reaction rather than just a
They
natural
might be
course, isn't it?
ex-friends now.
Yeah.
It's interesting, isn't it?
But
Yeah.
you don't know what she might go away and start looking at, or trying to do some
Oh, I hope
research
so.
privately to herself. With a bit of luck, she
I'm sure
probably
there's gonna
will.
be something else we'll think about later on that we should have said. But there was seems to be a lot crammed into a short period of time, wasn't there? with that
Yeah,
one?
there was. Yeah,
There
it
was.
goes really quick, doesn't it?
But fuming, absolutely
Yeah.
fuming inside.
Well, that senior elder that came out and saw us
Yes.
in the first one, he asked similar questions. Why on earth are you here?
Yeah.
We
Why
can't make
have you
any
picked us?
individual decisions.
Yeah.
We can't. And I said, well, it's not about that. I said, this is the micro and the macro. We're here because this is one unit, one cell, one Kingdom Hall. There are many others, hundreds of them up and down the whole of the country. We happen to live here. And so we are
So
going
we're
to
gonna
discuss
come
it with you.
And to me, the hidden agenda is why I wanted to do it was it's me saying, we know what you're up to.
We know.
We
yeah.
know what you're up to now.
Yeah.
But now you know that we know what you're up to.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying it's a game changer. I'm not saying anything massive will come of this. But now we know, and you know that we know, and that's different. So we know you've been doing it all these years, and you know you've been doing it all these years. But now we all know.
Yeah.
And I think that was the message.
And I just said to him as well.
Yeah.
I said, how do you think the sisters would feel? in the
Yeah, you
hall
did. If they knew
if
that.
they knew
Yeah.
that their husbands or these documents are going to be destroyed. I said, because I know as a sister I wouldn't have liked it.
I would have
would
been
have.
utterly shocked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I said, the sisters don't know, do they? They
No.
don't know about this.
I mean, we've all had people in the latest video that I did on this destruction that, Mark, this is not news. You've exaggerated this. We do store information on file, but the important thing is when it gets to court, that information disappears, and whatever information is in there is so small, so minute, so cryptic, it cannot be associated back to anybody that actually knew about this stuff.
And I've had that feedback. Oh, well, this is old news. They get this letter every year. No, I'm not saying it's new news. I'm not saying it's a game changer. But here's the thing. My dad used to do volunteer work for Amnesty International. And he was in South America. And his job was just to sit in a courtroom where people were being convicted of certain crimes. And because if there was nobody there, they could give out outrageous sentences that were disproportionate to the crime.
Sure.
Just having a person sat there, not saying anything, modified the sentence to the proportion that it should have been at. And Amnesty used to get people to do that. And my dad used to do it. He didn't have to say anything or know anything. He just sat there and it modifies people's behaviour. Now I see this in the same way. Now we're saying, we know that you shred documents. And you know that we know now. So we all know what's going on now, and in a slow, very, very slow drip way, the more people that know, and the more that they know that we know, it does have a modifying
Yes,
effect,
it does.
doesn't it?
It certainly does.
Changes your behaviour. You see it through different eyes. It's like battering your kid in a supermarket, isn't it? And then you turn around and you see someone looking, why you? Oh, he's a tyke, isn't it? It's a bit like
but
that.
it's very true.
You see it through different eyes, and you modify it.
Yeah.
I'll go when you get home.
See, a lot of these elders are so blind,
shred
they
you.
follow these instructions along to the absolute letter, thinking that they're doing it because that's what God wants them to do. But actually,
but then if you see it through another person's eyes, you think,
why on earth?
You said that, didn't you? You said, he said, we do things the right way. We said, I would go to the police. You said, no, you wouldn't. You would phone the Bethel first. You would phone
what
the
you said this morning,
And they can't deny that, can they?
No.
Because that's what they would do.
Yeah, of course they would. They're instructed. They're very strict. I mean, the 2012 letter makes that very clear. October 1st, they have to go straight and don't cooperate with anybody. The police, you come straight to us, and that's very clear. Very clear indeed.
So what I'm hoping is going to come out of all this is that Alison gets this fellowship tonight.
Ironical.
Yeah, Alison said, you know what's going to happen, don't you? I'm going to get this fellowship and you're not.
Well, thank you very much.
It's a shame that I don't want to go back.
No.
That's all.
No, well, you've shown great courage walking into the lion's den like that a second time. It's like jumping over the trench in the First World War. You might get away with it first time, but the second time takes a lot more courage.
We had to. I just knew that it was they were ready for us.
Yeah. Well, let's have some lunch, shall we?
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
Cheers.
Bye-bye.